What's up with Out of the Pocket? Tell me about that.
Well, it's a long story. Gene Wojciechowski co-authored it. He approached me during quarantine back, way back in like March, April of 2020. And he's asked me in the past. I never really thought I'd do it. This time he asked me, and I just thought it was a good time to reflect. The book's about football, kind of like my experience with football, being around the game quite a bit. It's also about how I got into broadcasting. A lot of people wonder, how did I get to game day, and how I called the national championships and all these big games, how I kind of got into that world. And then it's a little bit more than that. It's about football, fatherhood, both through the eyes of a kid, myself. Just my dad was my hero. I know you can relate to this. Yeah. My dad, for me, growing up in Ohio, my dad played at Ohio State. He was a captain. He played for Woody Hayes and used to take me. He also coached with Woody. So he'd take me when I was little into the locker room and meet guys like Woody Hayes and Archie Griffin, who was at that time winning 2 Heisman trophies. It was like he was Zeus, like bigger than God to me. And I don't know, man, my world, unlike yours, it kind of took a turn for the worse. My parents divorced when I was about 8, and world kind of turned upside down. I went from living basically, imagine the movie, the Sandlot movie, where your whole neighborhood's your life with all the buddies in the yard and all that, to just nothing. I moved, and both parents remarried a couple years later, both got a divorce again. There were stepmoms and dads and brothers and sisters going. And I was in like 8 schools in 9 years. And I was a really introverted kid, really, really shy, painfully shy. And so I held everything in, didn't really talk about anything. And just went through a lot of trials and tribulations like we all do.
Yeah.
Just decided to kind of open up about that, be vulnerable about my past, and hope that the book resonates. This is not like a how-to book. It's more of just opening up and talking about, we all go through trials and tribulations. We all have challenges. We all have adversity in life. And it's just me kind of telling my story. And maybe people will see a different side of me. But more importantly, I just hope people been through their own junk, only their own world, their own things they go through. And hopefully this book will resonate and people will be able to relate to it in some way.
Well, I think it's cool because, when we see you up on TV, it's like, hey, this guy's got it. He's always had it going on. You know what I mean? Like, you give off that vibe and that confidence, and you're so good at your job. And you said it, like, who knows what happens after football? I remember my dad trying to figure out what the heck he was doing, and the odds that he got a studio job, like in the early 90s. Like, this was a different time. There weren't as many media opportunities. No. And so Absolutely. I wonder, what was the origin story in a nutshell, as far as, like, was it almost something else? Was there almost somebody else who took Kirk Herbstreit's seat? Who were they considering to be you?
Man, that's great. It's a big part of when I talk to kids, like when I go speak to these teams and players, a coach asked me to talk to them. A big part of it is finding a passion. Your passion was football your whole life, and then you got done playing, and your life's not over. You got to find a new passion. In my case, I got done playing college football. I was a business major at Ohio State, and Ohio State, through a lot of the folks in the athletic department, hooked me up with a lot of interviews. And I was going down that conventional path. I was going to graduate in June, and much of April, May, and going into June, I was doing a lot of interviews. Just thought I was going to become pharmaceutical sales rep, medical sales. There was a Worthington Industries, all very, very lucrative jobs as a 22, 23-year-old, making 80, 90,000 if you hit bonus, company car, 401k. Everything you're kind of trained to do is try to go get a good job and make some money. And then I floated this idea to a local radio station. Hey, if you ever need help, let me know. And they got back to me right in early June. They said, we're actually going to want to hire you. We're going to pay $12,000, no benefits, nothing. But we think you'd be good at this. Afternoon drive, 5:30 to 7. And will you do it? So I had to do one or the other. I couldn't do both. And so I don't know why. Every person, family member, anybody, friends, everybody I talked to was like, "You nuts? $12,000?" Because again, you don't know what's going to lead the game day. You don't know where it's going. It sounded like a fun job talking sports. I'm a sports fanatic, and I just thought it'd be cool to do a talk show. And so I turned down all that stability and took a choice on passion and something I love. not knowing, I didn't grow up with money. So $12,000 didn't sound terrible. I had 2 roommates. We were splitting bills. So I just thought, what the hell, let's go do this talk show and see what it leads.
12 grand was going a long way.
Yeah.
What was a habit you had when you finally got there, and excuse me, so you got to finish telling your story, but what was the hardest habit when you finally got to game day?
This was August of 93.
Yeah.
And I got to ESPN for the 95 season. Yeah. I was a sideline reporter. So that was 2 years later. And this, like your dad, there were no jobs.
Yeah.
There were very few jobs. And somehow there's a long story how I got to ESPN originally. And then while I was there in 95, Craig James, who was a superstar on game day with Lee Corso, he left to go to CBS.
Right.
Because CBS got the NFL package and they needed a studio guy. So he left, the job opened up. They told me to come in and audition for it. They told me, you're not going to get it. But as young as you, I was like 25.
Yeah.
They're like, young as you are, go through the process, it'll be good for your career. And then I came in and I just did the best I could. And Corso and I kind of hit it off. I sweated my ass through that interview. I was terrified to do that. I don't sweat because I'm nervous. I sweat because I'm uncomfortable.
I sweat because I'm hot in the suit.
Yeah, I run hot. Like my air conditioning, like right now I'm in a hotel, it's set at 64. First thing I do, I walk in, I set it down at 64. My house is set at like 67. My wife walks around in Uggs. I just run hot, right? And when I get, I'm a shy guy. So when I get uncomfortable, I just that's my result. And so I'm sitting there next to Lee Corso for the first time and I'm just like uncomfortable. My God. But I guess it went well. They ended up hiring me. And I was ironically in the middle of doing arena football that year, 95. And there was a guy named Kurt Warner who was lighting it up for the Iowa Barnstormers. And I was doing like every week I was flying into Iowa and calling Kurt Warner's games. And the next year I was on game day. So I didn't really have any habits, man. The only habit I had is I knew that I was not a well-known, like your dad is a very well-known player, Barry Bradshaw. I mean, think of all of them. Chris Collinsworth, Romo, on my set, Desmond won a Heisman. I mean, everybody is a guy like you. You know, they won Super Bowls. I wasn't. So instead of being embarrassed about that, instead of being like, I guess I'm a nobody, I did the opposite. I was like, I'm going to grind my ass off. So they might not know who I am. This is inside my brain. I'm going to grind my ass off. They might not know, like, where's Craig James? Who's that blonde-haired guy? What's going on? And I thought over time I could win people over by just being the most prepared, the most dialed-in analyst on TV. Like, that was my own goal. Right. And that became my kind of niche. You know, that's to this day, that's what I try to be. Like right now I got my board right here. I'm getting ready to call a game. And as soon as I hang up on this, I'll go right back to, I feel so awkward if I don't stay that way. I've had a lot of opportunities and some successes as a broadcaster, but I still see that guy in 1996. It's like trying to grind, trying to prove that he can do it, trying to show people I belong. And I don't think I'll ever really stop being that way. And I'm never going to consider, I'm not comparing Tom Brady to me at all, but I love Tom about when I hear Tom talk and he gets emotional talking about, he looks in the mirror and he still sees a 6th-round draft pick. Like, it's like, how does Tom Brady how's he have his edge when he's done so much?
Paranoia can be good. You don't want to fail.
Yeah, that's me as a broadcaster. It just makes me really relate to him on a lot of levels. So, well,
that's how a lot of athletes operate. And I know, like, you know, for you're an athlete at the heart. So it's like that competitive spirit and that, hey, it could be me. When I get my name called, like on the field, I don't want to be that guy. And like, you don't want to be that guy in the booth. And I'm looking at your sheet and it's just covered in stuff. I've seen Joe Buck's sheet before. I feel like what's really cool when you guys call games, some of the stuff that colors the game in the most is the insight on the third corner with a backstory or a guy that you haven't heard of. Because we've heard all about some of these primetime guys. And I think you guys do a really good job of that. Is there a game day location that you guys have yet to do that you would be really excited to do?
Man, I don't think we've been to your alma mater. I've done Thursday night games when you were there.
Yeah.
But we've obviously been Blacksburg a bunch. I don't think we've been there.
We got to fix that. We got to do it on the field. We got to fix that. We got to do it on the field.
Well, if there was any doubt that Kirk was the number one guy at ESPN, I mean, they put him in a location on game day and then they're flying him to a different one for a game Saturday night, which is just wild. Would love to hear about the mechanics of your day when game day is on one coast and a game is on another. But at this point, are you still learning new things about TV, be it game day set or live games, or is it more of a muscle memory thing at this point?
Gosh, that's awesome. First thing I would tell you is my favorite Saturdays are when game day and the game are in the same location, because Bear and I, as soon as game day is over, we're football junkies. We're fans. We sprint as fast as we can to the All-State bus. We've got this great back of the bus, 5 TVs, crank up the audio, air conditioning's down, room is dark in the back. We just sit there and watch games and yell at each other about picks or whatever it is. We do that till I call the game that night at 8:00. So we sit there for 7 hours and watch football. Those are the great Saturdays. So the Saturdays I have to fly, I mean, you could be going from Tallahassee to Eugene or, Columbus, Ohio, out to USC for a game. But ESPN does fly me in those cases. They have a Disney charter and they just take me from one spot to the next. It's a full day, obviously, to start one spot at 6 a.m. and then finish at 1 a.m. somewhere else. But again, when you do something you love, it's no big deal. I loved your question about doing more than just, are you still growing and still learning? And I would tell you probably, Chris, when you're a defensive end, when you came out of Virginia and you were just freaky athletically and you were able to maybe have your get off or your move you had. And then about the 8th year, 9th year, 10th year, you kind of became a different guy.
Yeah, you get hurt and you got to learn different skills. You got to change kind of the way you do things.
Yeah. In our case, I'd love to talk to your dad about this. Like when I first was hired, I was an analyst. Like I didn't almost hear what other people on the desk said. I was here. I got my comment ready. And whoever's going to come to me, I'm going to make my comment and I'm going to analyze my point. And that was it. I did that for the first 5 years on the show. And then I don't want to say I got bored with that. I just started to become inquisitive and listening to Fowler or hearing like the bump, like how are we coming into this break or how are we going out of it? When I get done making my comment, what sound are we going to? I just became really interested in the totality of a segment and how my comment intertwined into the production of the segment. So no one told me to do that. I just kind of started paying attention and listening and started to learn some of the terminologies that the TV people use. And so I started about year 6 or 7, started to become way more vocal and way more. By then I felt like I had earned that after 6 years or so, just way more inquisitive is probably the best word. And now, 26 years into this, I'm, it's like I have antennas and my radar's up and I'm constantly, because what makes our show good, we have no teleprompter. We don't have a script. We have an idea. We're going to talk about certain games, but a lot of it is impromptu. A lot of it is trying to pay attention to what Des is saying. And even though I don't have it written down, it's okay to, like we're doing right now, you just kind of improvise and adjust and throw a little like a little jab or something at Pollock and if you're not listening and paying attention or know where we're going after, it can really impact that in a negative way. So I think the way I'm growing is learning about every aspect of the show, studio television. And I watched your dad's show and I learned from watching them. I watched Charles' show. I learned, from watching them. So I'm constantly, I watch TV in a very different way than the average person because I'm digesting and dissecting what I'm watching as I watch it.
Personally, I think it's probably been great that there's internet on planes now. I think probably back in the day, I'd imagine you were sitting on there bored wondering what the score was for 3 hours going to Tallahassee, Eugene. That's a game changer. But also, you talked about being on script. You guys have guest pickers like regularly. What's the most you've had to like pull a guest picker back in, like one of your celebrity people going off script? Because that's what I'd always worry about with live television.
It's so, we were just talking, we had Kane Brown, who's a big country star, on last week. And it's amazing how these guys will play in front of thousands of people or as an actor perform, in front of millions of people on TV. and then they get on this show and they're a little bit out of their lane and they're a little uncomfortable. And so more than anything, you're trying to kind of encourage them to let their personality come out.
Right.
There have been some guys, I'm trying to think over the years. Will Ferrell was a guy that, we're a hard out at 11:59. Mm-hmm. And so the producers in my year, because I go last, it'll go Dez, celebrity picker, Lee, me. And see, he uses me as his throttle. Like, all right, we got to pick it up. Like every pick he's telling me, because he knows I can either give him time back or I can eat some time up. Mm-hmm. So as they're going from Dez to around, he'll say to me, hey, take your time. These guys are moving too fast. We got plenty of time. So then I'll go 30-second comment. Or the next time, quick, it's like we're in tempo offense. And, then I'll just do like a 5-second comment. Because the celebrity, the guy you can't predict, man, sometimes Will Ferrell's going on and on and on, and you're just like,
is there any question? Is there any question at all? Right? This is USC season right here. This is their bowl game.
Or Eric Church, when he's on, he sees himself as an analyst. So it's not like he's like Tim McGraw came on. He's like, man, my first concert was in Kansas. I'm going with Kansas State. We're like,
yeah, I've seen some of that, but you're saying Eric Church can really, he can pick them.
I'll tell you what, those safeties come down. We're looking at play action pass. It could be a real difference. Those corners can't hold up on an island. They're going to go play action. And it's just like,
no shit. Right. We got to have Eric Church on the show, Make.
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Oh man, dude. Yes. Yeah. You had that. Ask him the lightning question, because I don't know if I believe this either.
I'm so sick of it because we just keep talking about Blacksburg because they win so many damn football games. But were you there, and did the lightning actually hit Corso's car?
Draw a circle here. This is an awesome shot. This is lightning that struck right next to the stadium. Watch this car literally explode and catch on fire. You see?
I was definitely there. Sometimes I'll just say, do you remember that time? Do you hear the story at all? I mean, it was a scary storm. I mean, lightning just coming down all around. Lane Stadium at that time, seemed like it was just all aluminum seats, so it was just easy for it to be a target. He got a lot of mileage out of that, because that was Michael Vick was there.
Oh yeah.
And the next year, it was like, I don't know what a Hokie is, but God sure does. And I'm going with the Hokie.
500 billion to 1. And my favorite saying, I don't know what a Hokie is, but God is one of them. Go Virginia Tech.
That became like his line. I don't know, man. I'll just say, yeah, I think it did.
I think he's safe, though, even if it did, because, they say the tires ground the lightning, which I don't know if that's fucking true or not.
He wasn't in the car.
Okay, good. It was just he got hit. I was like, the way it sounded to me was Corso got hit with a bolt of lightning, and that's how he has such great energy, maybe. It's that he was sitting in his car at Blacksburg. We've talked about game day. I want to rapid fire some college football questions before you get going and stare at that sheet again, because there was a lot of writing on there. First off, Ohio State. Your guys, is anybody challenging them in the Big Ten? Stanford Steve didn't think so. And are you encouraged or worried about that first half? Because it's a young quarterback, and it's the first damn game of the year.
Yeah, no one knows better than you about the first half of the game. First game, college football, on the road, conference game, new quarterbacks, never attempted a pass in his life. I was really more impressed with what Ryan Day did in the second half and the adjustments and the fact that they made some plays. I think it's actually a blessing in disguise that he went through some adversity.
Yeah.
They're so good around him. I mean, Olave, Garrett Wilson, the tight end you're going to love, Jeremy Ruckert. He's like 6'5", 250. He's an NFL guy. The line's the best they've had. I'm not impressed with their defense right now. Right. They've got concerns like they did last year. They got to get way better on that side. But their offense, Penn State's the one team, and maybe Wisconsin, in the Big Ten championship, or Iowa, but they're just so much more talented than everybody else in that conference.
The other national championship hope radar deal this weekend is obviously that Clemson took a loss, and that's a hell of a game to put on your schedule first. This happens to teams every year, and then they got to go about the rest of the season. But in the ACC, UNC could have had a leg up and they missed their chance. Does UNC have a path? And what do you think about the ACC?
I look at it a little bit differently. I think Virginia Tech winning and the way Lane Stadium looked, that was a good thing, not from Charlottesville, but good for the ACC. You know what I mean? I mean, the energy coming off your television from a game besides in Clemson, the way Florida State looked against Notre Dame, I lost, but man, that's good for the ACC. So North Carolina, they still have plenty of opportunities to get where they want to ultimately get, which is the Charlotte, and to get to the ACC championship. Clemson to me is a little bit of they're so much better than everybody they play, but their running game or lack thereof, the offensive line issues, the quarterback who we just thought he'd step right in and look like Trevor because he did last year. Yeah, and there's an unwillingness to run the ball, and that's such a big part of their offense. You know, if it's there, go. You know, and he's kind of hesitant. I don't know if you watched any of the game, but he's real like indecisive, and they're taking away primary. And this, again, maybe the best defense in the country. I get it, but he just looked really indecisive. And instead of saying I'm out because there was plenty of room to go, he just kind of kept holding on to the ball. So. I want to see his growth and where they go, but I think the ACC right now, I want to see Louisville tonight, but it looks still to be like Clemson and North Carolina.
Yeah, for sure. Bama, last thing here, quarterbacks, like, are they growing on trees? Like, they change coordinators. Everything seems to change down there, but one thing, and that's Nick Saban and talent.
That's it.
And I would say, like, it's a product of the talent, sure, but these quarterbacks, a la Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, they've transitioned well into the NFL. What do you think of Bryce Young? And where does Alabama keep getting these guys?
I don't know what practice is like when you were with Philly versus like New England, but in college, Nick Saban, this is the point. He loses coordinators. He loses great players to the NFL. And he does such a good job, not just recruiting, but developing and in the weight room in the offseason. And then when they get into spring, they do a lot of good on good.
Yeah.
And then they tackle. You go to an Alabama practice, it's not like it's 2021, take it easy. They are crushing hitting. It's not, you don't see that in college a lot. In Alabama, they still do. And then in camp, this is my point. This Bryce Young, he's been seeing for 4 weeks, really sophisticated, good on good, a lot. And so they make their practices so hard that when they get to a game, it's almost like, I don't want to say easy, but easier than what they see in practice. And it's just, what he's always done. You go to their practice, I mean, it's chaos. It's people getting yelled at. It's people, whistles blowing, run it again. You would think they never have a chance, but they do it on purpose. And then the games there, it's like, holy cow, this is the easiest thing we've ever done. Coaching out here blowing a whistle. You know, I don't have to face my own defense where they're showing me, 18 different coverages. So I think that's why they look like they were in midseason form. They by far look like the best team in the country, even with all those new players and Bill O'Brien calling plays. It's just a machine. It's a machine.
Every year it's like, well, we'll see. Maybe they're not as good. And then one weekend you're like, oh, well, shit. I wish the other teams would practice like Alabama.
I know. Me too.
Kirk Herbstreit, good luck at the game tonight. And we love watching you work, man. It's so great. And we look forward to diving into that book a little bit. Congrats.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Take it easy, brother.